Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let me just start by... Hold on now. Well, guys, the most iconic picture ever in any picture form or anything has been taken, and it's the picture of Trump with his fist up. That is going to be such an iconic. There's going to be T-shirts made. There's going to be apps made. There's going to be memes made. There's going to be graphics made. Obviously, not everything pro-positive, but that's what's going to happen. Such a momentous occasion. But guys, President Trump, and someone's has tried to assassinate him. There's loads of things come out about the guy. Apparently he's a Republican voter, but you know, the thing is, and we've seen this with Farage, the rhetoric that they put out about against people who have a different opinion makes people do stunts like this. That's what it is. I'm not going to say the guy's part of an organised. More than likely, he's been acting solo doing this. You know this, if you can profile these kind of people. But the left, give it a free pass. Everything they say, all the nasty things, and there's no comeuppance on them. But, I mean, I said in 2018, I said, angry, that I wanted the kebab house burning down in Blackpool where Charlene Downs was killed. I said that on a live stream. 3 months later, counter-terrorism, and that is the original, what's left of the original thing they put through the door, contacted me. You can't be saying that. And that's what it said. But obviously, when it's the other way around, people can say it. If a lefty said, you know, like the threats against all sorts of people, candidates, Nigel Farage, and look at this on Donald Trump. Something's got to be done about this, guys. Something really got to be done. And you know, I'm not saying it like I'm scared, but I'm not going to be putting up with these kind of situations in the street. I won't. I'm not just going to politely submit, right, or anything like that. If this, I have to put up with this, and it's just wrong. But anyway, good evening, chat. Good evening, Rory, Timmy Bobbington, Mouse Nation, Mark Williams. Good evening, Sir Serena. First in the chat. Well done, I girl. Anyway, Trump, the most iconic thing that's ever happened in my lifetime. Is this what happened? But Paul, what do you think?
Well, there's a heck of a lot to discuss tonight. First of all, we've got to put it in context. Biden was crashing in the polls as a candidate. He couldn't put a sentence together. Everyone had realized since the debate that he was a lame duck. And so the Democrats were in panic mode, and they kept using this term constantly. Donald Trump is a threat. Now, a threat means a danger. It's a red light, and it's got to be extinguished. They're saying he's a new Hitler, they called him. Donald Trump has already been president for 4 years, and he did a great job within the law. To call him a Hitler is absolutely absurd. But the Democrats were demonizing him to the point where they were going to take him out one way or the other. Obviously, they meant to take him out through lawfare. 91 indictments against him. Bogus court cases up and down America. They've all flopped, which is amazing. Because the guy who's been running these court cases, a guy called Norm Eisen, he went to Harvard University with Barack Obama. He's a Jewish lawyer and diplomat, And he headed a whole coterie of Jewish lawyers from New York who framed all these indictments against Trump, framed all of his case so that Trump would be found guilty and sent to prison. And it's failed. And the Democrats can't believe that it's failed because they used that in conjunction with Chris Christie and Nikki Haley to try and stop Trump getting the nomination. Instead, Trump has triumphed. It's amazing. The power against Trump is extraordinary. The money they've spent to destroy him is extraordinary. The legal minds, the political strategists, the Chuck Schumers, the Norm Eisens, the Merrick Garlands, the best Jewish brains in America have been focused to destroy Trump, and they've failed. That is extraordinary, and they can't accept that. And people are saying there's only one route out now, assassination. Now, was he a lone gunman? If you look at the way Mossad and the CIA operate, they entice people to commit these acts. They feed them money, they feed them propaganda, they give them a strategy to do it. The fact that he was able to get into a secure arena, climb onto a roof, wait 3 minutes before he shot his gun, and actually get his... They didn't kill him till he got his shots off. Now, they identified him earlier, so they knew he was about to shoot Trump, and he had a sniper aiming a gun at his head, and yet they allowed him to get his shots off. And it's miraculous that Trump survived. It's absolutely extraordinary that Trump survived. And Pat, what's your take on it?
Well, there's a lot to unpack, isn't there? Because we got a kind of repercussion of JFK situation. If people remember, in the 1960s, JFK was assassinated, and I've heard there's 3 reasons why allegedly the CIA took JFK out. Is one, he wanted to pull the troops out of Vietnam. Another one, he wanted to shut down the Federal Reserve and exclude it from the Jewish international bankers. And thirdly, Israel wanted a nuclear bomb, and he was refusing to give the information to Israel for them to create a nuclear bomb. When he was assassinated, Israel got their nuclear bomb a few months later. Now, the similarities with today is Trump, although he is an extreme Zionist on one side, he can't, like you've always said, Paul, he cannot be controlled because he does have his own money. And he's not a puppet like Biden is, but that's an interesting thing altogether. I'll come back to that in a minute. So Trump, he doesn't want to go to war with Russia, and I don't think he's gonna resist millions of people dying, especially American troops, even German troops, fighting the war against Russia for this expansionism in the Ukraine for NATO, which is one side of Zionism, because there's 2 sides of Zionism. There's globalist, no border Zionism, and then you've got nationalist Zionism, which is the state of Israel. So, but then when you look at Biden, it's so obvious that they must have some serious blackmail videos on Biden, because who in their right mind would want Biden as the leader to win an election? You just wouldn't want that, because he's a complete mess. But he is obviously willing to do anything they say to him. And this is probably because they've got some really serious blackmail situation going on with him. So that's the way I see it at the moment. But yeah, so the actual shooting of Trump, there's so many conspiracy theories going around. It looks like a deep state operation to me. They've kind of let it happen, and this young lad, who apparently he was Jewish as well. So yeah, it's just, I think it's a bit early to be honest, to really put your finger on it. But I do think they really did try to take him out like they did with JFK. And the thing about it is, part of me wants to think, oh, is it that serious? Is it just some lone kind of wolf sort of thing? But you have to look at JFK, what they did there, and they did do that. So we know that it's been done before. So the chances are that it probably is likely that they was trying to do it again. But
it's not only that they've done it before. Sorry, Pat. It's not only they've done it before, but Robert Fico, who was the Prime Minister of Slovakia, He attempted to assassinate him a couple of months ago. Don't forget Bolsonaro, president of Brazil. They tried to assassinate him. During COVID, they took down any world leader that went against the World Health Organization, globalist Zionist conspiracy. They took them out. They assassinated 5 world leaders during COVID. That's just brushed under the carpet now. The real background, and you hit on that really well there, Pat, is the Ukraine situation. The global Zionists intended to bankrupt Russia through sanctions, break Russia through a military strategy, and then fleece Russia, strip it bare of its economic assets. Don't forget, Russia has got hundreds of trillions of dollars of natural resources, and the Zionists wanted them, the global Zionists wanted control of these resources. So that's why they initiated this war in the Ukraine, and they expected to win it pretty quickly because they thought the Russian military was incompetent. They trained up the Ukrainian army, they provided them with Western weapons. In fact, instead of winning, they've now got bogged down in a losing war. Now, not many people have heard of this, but the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which was formed 3 years ago, has brought together China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, other members of the Islamic world, India, and now Belarus has joined. It spans from the borders of Poland to the Pacific Ocean. This is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Each country is now committed to support each other militarily. NATO cannot beat Russia now. So they're in a quagmire and they're losing the war. This is the background which is leading to, we've got a recession. It's unfolding now. People don't realize that. That's why the Tories called an early election. There's an unfolding recession now happening in the West. We're going to be surging unemployment, and we're going to see real hardship in the years ahead. Now, they've got a problem. You see, the Zionists were able to take out Trump. They were able to steal the election. They were able to demonize him, but they're not able to rule the world successfully. This always therefore the way they fall short, because they don't rule the world in the interest of the people of the world. They run the world in the interest of them accumulating power and money, and it always goes wrong. And this is why the MAGA army has bounced back. We need to talk about the MAGA army and the impact they've had. John?
Can I just say one thing, John, before you jump in? Another really important thing we've got to remember within the global aspect of everything is that the petrodollar is no more. And Saudi Arabia are now moving towards Russia. And I personally think the globalists are getting really desperate. And this is why October the 7th happened. This is why this assassination attempt happened. Because they, the globalist, Zionist West, they're rescinding pretty quick. Over to you, John.
Yeah, as you can see, the picture's up, and you just, honestly, I am dumbfounded for words. But the ramifications and fallout is that, like, this is what we have to expect when we have a different voice, and I'm never going to expect this, and I'm guessing at the next public meeting I go to, this will be kind of one of the topics, because I have a different view. I'm supposed to be treated like this. I'm sick of our police, the way they treat us. I'm sick of how they let political people get treated. Nigel Farage, anybody else in reform and stuff. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And this is what I fight against, guys. And I'm just not having it, me. So this is iconic, this. It's going to be iconic for the rest of my life. Nothing is ever going to beat it. But the ramifications, again, the guy's probably a loner. He's not part of any unit or anything. But the rhetoric you hear all the time, he's evil, he's a Nazi, he's a Nazi. And if you look into profiling, you look into how human beings are, they keep saying stuff like that to them. They act on it. They act on it. Remember, I said I wanted a kebab house burning down to the ground in the heat of passion, were all around Charlene Downs in Blackpool, and I had a visit off the counter-terrorism. But obviously, we've got people who can stand in elections and shout, Allahu Akbar! And nothing happens. We've got people who can say really anti-white things, such as a candidate for Labour in Clacton drinking white man's tears and nothing happens to him. But, you know, obviously, if I say, oh, excuse me, I want something done about most of the Pakistani grooming gangs in Oldham, you're a bigot, you're a this, you know, the buzzwords come out then. You know, guys, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I haven't had an in the street thing yet like this, and I don't know the kind of how I'd handle the situation. I'm just sick of it. It needs saying and it needs pointing out, and I will be pointing this out at some public meetings within the next year or so. Is why do we allow this? And it needs to be. It needs to come out and it needs to be exposed, and everyone needs to talk about it. The mainstream media need to talk about it. But you know, if this is acceptability, if it's all right, then you know I should start saying that I want things burning down. But no, I can't, because like I'll be contacted and pointed at and all that, but it's all right for other people to say it. Honestly, just why
they've allowed it for years, John. Ever since Trump came down that escalator, they've allowed the left to call for his death and his assassination. So many have done it. It's been ferocious, the attacks upon him. And of course, during the last election campaign, we saw Farage. He got concrete thrown at him. He recently got a pint thrown over him in a pub. He got, you know, they think it's funny to throw milkshakes over him. But that's lefty comedian, I forget her name, the big fat one. She said that she hopes it was battery acid that they throw over Farage. And this is the double standard. This is the double standard we face. The right is the state terrorized the right. The left are allowed to terrorize the right, and yet the right are always demonized. But what amazes me about Donald Trump, and this photo shows it, is that he has faced the most incredible pressure ever since he came down that escalator. And these court cases, they've tied him up. I mean, I've 3 times, the state has tried to put me in prison and failed. I've been through all this legal process that he's going through, this lawfare. And I know what it's like, the pressure of having to sit in court all day, the thought that you might be sent to prison, you know, the cost of it all. It's horrendous. And Trump has been indicted 91 times. I mean, he's had 4 or 5 trials so far. And all of them are totally bogus. They're all fictional. They're all created by this coterie of Jewish lawyers in New York. And then they're put in by Merrick Garland, who's the Attorney General. And then he mobilizes his district attorneys in the likes of New York and Georgia. And it's all a game to frame Trump. He's done nothing wrong. All these cases are totally bogus. And so they've applied all this pressure upon him. I mean, don't forget, Steve Bannon's in prison now. All the people involved in January the 6th, which was just a heated demonstration, they've all been put in prison just for being there. I mean, I think this is one of the things that motivates Trump. He wants to get justice for these people. But this was the final straw. We knew it was coming, an assassination attempt. The most amazing thing. We heard what that prophet said, didn't we? The Christian prophet, that he believed they were going to take a pot at Trump, and it was only going to burst his eardrum, and that he was going to hit the floor, and he was going to rise a man of God. And it's something divine about this whole thing. Everything about Trump, it's miraculous. It's not normal. This guy should have been destroyed years ago. Any normal person would have broken to this. He has got supernatural strength. And I know, see, this is the thing with the MAGA army in America. They demonize it. They say the fascists, the this, the that. It's a Christian army. These are people of God. They exist on prayer. They pray for each other. There's a power of the Holy Spirit there. They call upon the name of Jesus Christ. That's why they've been proved undefeatable in America. That's why, I mean, the prophet said, the Christian prophet, it's like a fire rising in America from Oklahoma, from Texas, from Alabama. The Patriots are rising. And Trump is being carried on this wave of spiritual power. And it's going to take him back to the White House, because we know there's still a few months to go till the election in November, and Trump won't get in until January, even if he wins that. And they may. This is the thing now. What's going to happen now? The ruling class of America don't like Trump, but they're going to have to find a way to either deal with him, live with him, or destroy him. And I just can't see any strategy now for them to stop him winning this election. Biden's a lame duck. Trump is like, he's a mythic figure now. He's going to win by a landslide unless they do take him out. Pat?
Yeah, I think John touched on an important thing earlier on. This anti-white agenda coming from the media, they're just continually inciting violence against anyone who is in a leadership role promoting the interests of, say, white people or a Western nation. And, this is what it ends up. You've got this young kid, what is he, 20 years old, and he's probably watching CNN every day saying, Trump is evil, more or less, Trump should be killed. That's what they're saying, because they're legitimizing, this sort of act. And this is what's happened. And it's so ironic that Biden and all that were trying to say that about the right, saying that's what they're like, when they've done exactly what they was accusing the right of. So it's all coming to a head. I think even if Trump wins, right, he's only going to have 4 years. What's going to happen after that? There is no one there like Trump to replace him. I don't care what anyone says. It's just going to be another politically correct, extreme Zionist Republican taking his place if they win the next one after that. So I don't know. I just think that Trump should have started his own party when he got elected the first time, and then there may have been a chance to salvage the United States of America. I don't think United States of America is going to be around much longer. I know it's very negative, but miracles do happen. Maybe Trump has seen this, and maybe if he wins, he's going to do something. I mean, they need to bring Christ back for a start right across America. But I fear that they're going to go down ethnic lines, and there's going to be lots of little nations forming within North America. And, I think we've got a bit more of a chance to save our nation here because we're much older. It's America, United States of America is quite a young country. But, but this question of why do they want Biden as their leader, it's glaring us in the face. You know what I mean? Did he go to Epstein Island? What videos have they? I mean, the way he treats little kids anyway, sniffing about them and all that, it's kind of obvious to me that he's you just would not want him as the front man to beat Trump. Trump's going to get a masses of support. He's probably going to win it. Why have they got Biden as their leader, and why are they going to keep Biden? Answer me that.
You know what, Pat? That was a very dystopian vision of the future of America. The truth is, Trump has completely taken over the Republican Party now. He's unchallengeable. He can restructure the whole Republican movement, Patriot movement. But the Patriot movement in America has a vitality that we don't have in this country. The MAGA army is multi-million, and it's connected through the social media. We've got to talk about social media because that's made possible the defeat of Biden. That's making possible this open dialogue that we're seeing now. People have got real perception. America is controlled to a degree by a Jewish ruling class. They control the centers of money, such as Wall Street and the Federal Reserve. They control Washington, the political elite. They control so many industries like the pharmaceutical industry or the media, but they don't control the American people. And if the American people are given a critical view of this ruling elite, which this is what the MAGA army provides, they don't accept the agenda that the Jewish ruling class is imposing on America. Now, Biden has had 4 years, and he's been a disaster. Biden isn't really the president, we know that. I mean, his wife seems to be more effective than him. The woman who's just allowed this guy to take pop at Donald Trump, Kimberly, what's her name? Kimberly Cheadle. Kimberly Cheadle, she's head of the security services in America. She was appointed by Jill Biden, who made the call to stop the count in the 2020 election, in the November election, when Trump was roaring to victory. Who made the call for the 5 toss-up states to stop the count so they could bring in the phony ballots? That was Jill Biden. I mean, Joe Biden is just a puppet. He's a puppet of somebody, but we all know he's a puppet now. There's no way he could rule anything. He can't put a sentence together. He's got no insight into anything. He's just a front man. But we've seen his cabinet. I think there's 11 members of his cabinet have got Israeli and American passports. It's their operation. It's their front. This is why they loathe Trump, because he pushes them out. He brings in his own people. Now, this will be an amazing opportunity. And we have to talk about Elon Musk as well and the impact of X. This will be an amazing opportunity in November to liberate America from these Zionist shackles. It's an awakening of America. Now, there is... I just said, I mean, you talked about Ukraine earlier. You see, the thing is, and you talked about the death of the petrodollar, the sinking of the dollar. American hegemony is declining in the world. We're seeing a multipolar world. We're seeing the rise of Eurasia, of China and Russia, and this has put an incredible pressure on the West. The West, under the woke ideology, is in steep decline. It's being overwhelmed. From the Hispanic world, from the Islamic world, the West is being overwhelmed now, because any society which makes the woke ideology its ruling agenda, its ruling faith, and that's what it is. The woke ideology is an alternative religion, is on a desperate downward spiral into hell. You talked about a dystopian vision of America, Pat. That vision is in Europe as well. We're seeing collapse in birth rates. We're seeing that we're being flooded by third world immigration, and it's going to increase. I mean, France is now in chaos. Germany is in steep decline. This Labour government will be an absolute mess in Britain. Things are not looking good at all, because you can't win with a woke ideology. Everything woke turns to shit. That's what Donald Trump said. You know, woke is a joke, and it will destroy anything it touches. And this is the ideology that they have. And the only way they can impose it upon us is to demonize Christian people, demonize our traditions, demonize patriotism, demonize the Christian family, demonize every aspect of our life which was good. And this is cultural Marxism. Obviously, it's got a root, but we've got to fight back against this. And this is what is so refreshing, the way Trump stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. You've got to fight for your freedom. You've got to fight for your nations. You've got to fight for your traditions, because we've got an enemy that's trying to destroy us. And Trump is aware of that. And the MAGA movement is aware of it. And they're waking up to the whole agenda, to who really is behind this. And we've got to wake up in this country. Now, Labour in the general election only got 33% of the vote. It was less than what Jeremy Corbyn got. It was a joke vote, really. And yet they got an overwhelming majority because of what the Tories did, really. The Tories were responsible for that. But there's no, I mean, Jeremy Corbyn said there is no love for the Labour government. Nobody loves Keir Starmer. Everyone knows he's going to be an absolute nightmare. So, and this is happening across Europe. It's happening across the West. And the fact that they're not winning this war in the Ukraine, it's bringing everything to a head. There's like a pressure point. And things are going to change. We've got to get organised in this country. Not just reform. I'm talking about radical Christian movements like the National Housing Party, which is going to really shine the light on what is happening across the West and the stances we have to take. John?
John, you're mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone's going bleep, 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 like someone's clicking, but not. No, yeah, you're right, Paul. Honestly, you know, we have to do something. We do have to fight back against the system, and my way of fighting is getting involved in local politics. Pat's way of fighting is getting involved in local politics. That's like what we believe is the start of it. There is all different kinds of ways we can help, but that is the way that we're going to go in the National Housing Party. So like we're live on Rumble, guys, so make sure you follow us on Rumble. I'll put the link up in the chat. Sorry, I've not been available. I was flying last week, so I just couldn't make the stream. And of course, I've been busy in Northern Ireland. We'll get round to that in a minute. But yeah, patriotic as well. The Americans are patriotic. Trump's definitely going to win now. There's going to be a surge in people voting for him, and everyone can see how hypocritical the system is in America, how hypocritical the left are. Things need to be drawn up over these kind of attacks and things like that on us, and it should be seriously think about. And I do think it's going to be brought up. Whatever you think of it, Reform and Nigel Farage are there now. The members of Parliament, they have a voice, and they will be speaking on these issues. And I believe that the electoral system will be changed in the next few years as well. And the political landscape is on a turmoil. And this is even though this what's happened with Donald Trump, that the shockwaves have gone across all the world, not just America, they've gone across all the world. And them shockwaves are adding to the shockwaves we've already got here of the tsunamis of reform, Workers' Party, independence. We've had another shockwave now, a long distance shockwave of Donald Trump, and it all affects our political climate, and I believe it affects the political climate for me on a positive note. But God bless to the Trump man there. Honestly, he survived, guys. I just can't believe it. He could have been dead. Easy. And there's going to be conspiracies. Come out, think what you want, but he is enemy number one. And again, you can quote me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not wrong. Profiling, the individual has been indoctrinated, lefty, profiling, and these are the kind of things that happens when you let people get away with what the left are doing in the UK and England. This is what happens, and something should be really done about it. Now, if I was in the reform team, now I would be absolutely making it my number one priority to bring all this crap up in stuff and call it out. And going further, I'm going to call it out in my local meetings. The next MERS question time, I'm going to be mentioning this. The next public meeting we have in Oldham, I'm going to be mentioning this. I'm already writing an email up for Electoral Commission about what happened to Farage and the things that have been done on reform. And I'll be emailing my local council elections office as well, because they heard me the other week in May. They heard me say about having to put up with things like this in the street, and I'm not doing it. So they've all heard me. The chief executive, the elections officer, they've all heard me, and I'm not going to let it go. And I shouldn't have to let it go. But so I'm going to push on these kind of things, and hopefully we can get things moving and rolled up. Good evening, society. Yes, Rory. Yes, Nick. Good evening there, mate. Timmy Bobbinson, everyone in the chat. Gerald. We've got 229 watching, 186 from Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, I've put the links up to the National Housing Party. Follow our descriptions. Please like them, sub to our pages. I will go back on to the Twitter again and see what I can put up there. But yeah, please get supporting us. Running in local elections, and we're going to do well. The political landscape is in turmoil, guys. It's absolutely in turmoil. And what's happened in America is it's going to affect us here. It's simple as it's that big. It's definitely going to affect us here. So please join the party, join us. Paul, do you want to carry on, or Pat?
Yeah. I want to ask Pat. Go on, Pat.
Go on. Yeah. Just wanted to say that we've just described what's going on the landscape across Europe, North America. Unfortunately, like I said, in North America, hopefully Trump wins. Going to have 4 years of patriotism and anti-globalism, so to speak. But after that, it's going to be back to the status quo with Republican Party and Democrats. But in Europe, it's a different story. There's lots of parties who are more or less in power now in Denmark, Sweden, France, very close in Germany, doing well in Spain. Italy, they're supposed to be in power now, but she became a very big disappointment. So, the right-wing parties are on the rise all over Europe, but not in this country at the moment. But as John pointed out, Labour Labour, their vote went down since the last general election, 2019, when Jeremy Corbyn was the leader. Even Starmer in my area, his vote went down 9,000 votes, and that's quite a lot of votes. So people do not like the Labour Party. There's nothing in place to replace them at the moment. Reform UK started much too late. They just turned up at the last minute expecting to do really well. They've done all right. They've done very well, in my opinion, for what they did. But back to the National Housing Party, it is all up for grabs. Our time is now. We need people to join this party and stand in local elections, or come and help someone who is standing in local elections. Donate to us, help us on social media, whatever it may be. But we're going to carry on regardless. We've got a candidate coming up in Cornwall area, maybe in Somerset as well, for 2025. We've got quite a few candidates for London 2026, at least 8 at the moment. And I haven't started canvassing yet since I stopped just before general election. I stopped because of that, because it gets a bit confusing because we didn't stand in the election. So next week, I might start this week, but next week I'm going to be back into my routine of going canvassing twice a week for 2 hours each time. And you won't believe how delighted the people are when you knock on their door. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe you knocked on my door." None of the other parties come and knock on the door. And, you ask what their concerns are. And, you start to get to know. You look them in the eye and they say to you they're going to vote for you. And then you know that people agree with your message rather than just doing a leaflet and hoping for the best. So it's all up for grabs. And I've said it all along, London is probably the best place for one of our parties to stand. Lots of people say it's the worst, and I'm going to prove everyone wrong in 2026 of how good we do in multiple seats in London. So whatever happens, we're going to be putting the effort in. And the most important thing is Jesus Christ is with this party. And, we're a Christian nationalist party. You don't have to be Christian to join our party, but we are pushing Christianity, and that's what this country needs. This is what our society needs. This is what our families need. This is what the borders of our country need. A strong Christian nation to protect us. Go on, Paul.
Traditional Christianity. You see, I mean, what the problem is, as I said earlier, is the woke ideology, which is destroying everything. But it's dragging us down. It's taken us on a downward trajectory. And Pat talked about the dystopia before that threatens across the West. It's unfolding day by day. There are no borders. Labour are going to allow another wave of migration into this country in the multi-millions. And the welfare state is already broken. Labour are not going to be able to finance the welfare state. We have very high interest levels, and they've been at this level for a long time. And this is crippling our economy. And it's going to mean there's no money. There's no surplus money in the economy. So more immigrants coming in. We're seeing this chaos in Ireland now. There's problems unfolding in the West. They're not going to go away. And because the West is losing this Ukrainian war, we've got this Eurasian power bloc coming in from the East. And the leaders in the West, in Europe, are starting to panic. Because ultimately, they have two strategies. Either they come to a peace agreement with the Eurasian bloc, because it's not Russia, it's Russia and China. That's a totally different kettle of fish. Trump realizes this. We have to come to a new world order, a new agreement. Now, if the European leaders decide to stop Russia in the Ukraine, talk about mobilizing the Polish army, mobilizing other armies, they're going to need our lads to fight. And we're not going to fight for. The West hasn't got. See, the woke ideology, everything that is woke turns to shit. Trump said that, and it's absolutely on the nail. No one has got the heart to fight in this country, because what are we fighting for now? We're not fighting for the land that we had before the Second World War. That's been lost. We're fighting for a multicultural, multi-faith, multi mess, really. It's a cultural mess that we live in. And no one's going to fight for that. We need to redeem traditional Britain. Now, Russia has a philosopher called Alexander Dugin, who's given Russia a vision of itself again, reinvigorating traditional Russia. reinvigorating the family, increasing the birth rate, reintroducing patriotism and love of your country and your community, and topping that all up with faith. Russians are saints. They believe in the Orthodox Church. They believe in Jesus Christ. This all goes together to reinvigorate a nation. This is why Russia has proved so formidable in the face of a phenomenal Western onslaught on their economy, on their people, on their military. It's failed because Russia has this Christian nationalism at its heart. We had it. That's why we conquered the world. That's why we had the glorious British Empire. That's why we brought civilization across the whole globe. We brought order, law and order across the whole globe. It was the British that put an end to slavery. I mean, they put the accusation finger at you as slaves. We abolished slavery, and then we made the whole world abolish slavery. That was unique. And we did that because we were a Christian nation. And we were able to stand up to any opponents because we had this faith and this tradition. We need re-traditionalism. We need to go back to what Britain was. Pat talked about having a United Kingdom Day where we celebrate the Union flag. The Union flag represents our history. The red, it represents the people, and it represents the sacrifice that they've made, and the cross represents the sacrifice that Christ made. The blue, that's our patriotism, and the white, that's our glory. We are a nation that have a glorious past, and we're not going to forget that. They want to put us down all the time now. And this is why they hate Trump so much, because he stirs the heart of Americans. He gives them a sense of identity. He gives them a love of their country. And once you love your country, you're prepared to defend it. Now, these people want to flood us with third world immigration on a colossal scale until we're replaced and broken. We're in a war of survival, guys. This is another reason why they tried to take out Trump, because he wants strong borders. As Pat said in the Bible, it says you should have strong borders. You know, this is our nation thrives. You need strong laws. We need a strong government. We need a comeback. And this is what the National Housing Party is about. It's about the British people rising afresh, along with all the peoples of Europe and Christendom, and reclaiming our heritage, reclaiming our nations. And this is what we're going to do. We're not, I mean, the thing is, Reform did get 17% in the general election. They got half the Labour vote. Labour got 400 seats. Reform should have got 200 seats. It was a phenomenal vote because people were looking for an alternative. And we've got to give them the real alternative, which is nationalism, is patriotism, and is Christianity. Go on, Pat.
I've got a question for you, Paul, from one of our supporters. And she's saying, discuss J.D. Vance, who's been nominated as Trump's vice president. And he's converted to Catholicism, apparently. Did you know this, J.D. Vance? Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah, I followed him for a long time, J.D. Vance. Yeah. He was in the US military. He comes from a poor background, but he's married to an Indian woman. And he initially was quite critical of Trump, but he was won over to the Trump agenda. He's a very close friend of Donald Trump Jr. That's why he's become vice president. He's a very capable politician. He's a good speaker. Bloody hell.
We've lost him. Yeah, so this we've got a new policy we're going to be putting on a website soon, and it's going to be United Kingdom Day to celebrate our Union flag and all the four nations. So go on, Paul, over to you. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone called me up. I'm on my phone. Yeah, so JD Vance, I've got a question mark, but he's the vice president. The vice president really is just supports the president. But of course, if Trump dies, he's one heartbeat away from becoming president. So he's a key figure. He's matured and his views have changed over time. We're going to have to see how he operates in practice. But he's a young man. He's only 39. I mean, I had different views when I was young. People mature. They become more realistic as they get older. And he is a Christian patriot. And hopefully, you know, he's not. Go on, Pat.
And unfortunately, he's extreme Zionist as well. So, yeah, that's not a good thing. But I think he might be better than Nikki Haley because that was on the cards, wasn't it?
The thing is, in American politics, if you're anti-Zionist, you don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
The Zionists control both sides of the aisle. The only way you're going to overthrow them is to acquire the power to then turn against them. When you're in opposition, there's pointless in criticizing them because they'll just stop you getting elected. If Trump, the reason they fear Trump, because if he gets back in the White House and he controls Congress, he can start to unwrap their power in America. And that's why they really fear him. They don't want their power to be removed. But to overthrow the Jewish ruling class in America, that's going to take a social movement. That's going to take the MAGA army. You're going to have to start to change the economics and politics of America. You're going to have to open it up again. Because they keep saying, you know, we're fighting for democracy, we're fighting for liberty. They're not. They're the anti-democratic forces. They don't want the people to have a voice. They don't want liberty. They don't want freedom of speech. And this is why they overthrew the 2020 election. They saw the American people waking up again in a patriotic way, and they despise that because that's a threat to their power. They've always stood against patriotic movements. And this is why patriotism is so important, but they're also anti-Christian as well. The fact that the MAGA army is a Christian army and that Trump is on fire for Christ now, this really threatens the ruling class in America because this spiritual power cannot be defeated. It's indestructible. And it's alive in Russia again. Vladimir Putin has founded 40,000 churches in Russia. He's brought the Russian youth back to the Christian faith after communism. And that's why they hate him. Because what this means is all the demonic forces, you know, the LGBT and all that, they are all shut down. And the forces of the family, and of children, and of patriotism, and of faith gain control and reinvigorate society. These forces are absolutely essential to have a healthy, prospering, growing society. What the left always present to us is a destruction, is a dystopia. And this is what Keir Starmer is going to do in Britain. We've got a problem with this Labour government. We're going to have to throw them out. But Trump in the White House will actually pull them back. He'll restrain them, and that's important. But as Pat said, things are unfolding in Europe. Patriotic and nationalist movements are rising across Europe. And they're inspired by Vladimir Putin. They're inspired. Look at Viktor Orban. Just before Trump, they tried to assassinate him. Trump had a meeting with Viktor Orban to discuss peace in the Ukraine. These people don't want peace in the Ukraine. They want an ongoing war. They want ongoing chaos in the world. That's how they accumulate and keep their power. We need to counteract that. Trump had met with Viktor Orban to get the nomination from the Republican Party. It was now or never to kill him, and they failed. And that, I believe, is divine intervention. Pat?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point about the Zionists and all that. You can't really defeat them because they're just not going to let you get anywhere in it. Because that's the problem with the two-party system in America. They control both wings a bit, and that's why I'm so pessimistic about the future. Because Trump can only have one more term. You're not allowed to have more than 2 terms as a president in the United States. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But you know, I think there could be serious outbreak of civil war or whatever in America in the next 5 years. I mean, if they rob the election again, who knows what's going to happen? If he wins by a landslide, what are the other lot going to do? The Antifa and all that are going to riot. BLM, they're going to burn down America like they usually do. So, it's. But I think generally across the West, we're heading in the right direction because the lies of the left are running out now. And the ordinary people are seeing through all these lies, you know, all this crap they just keep brainwashing everyone with. But I'll pass it over to you, John. And
so thank you, Pat. Thank you. And I mean, this is what's wrong with British politics is the picture that's up now. That's what's wrong with British politics. What's wrong with British politics isn't just Israel. It's the pro-Palestinian influence that we have. And stuff like that in our big politicians. None of that should be there, guys. It should be focusing on UK things, not the minority in the UK, not a war across the world. So this is just one little section of so many people getting money off globalists and anti-white people and stuff like that. Not having it, me. You know, and a true leader of our country wouldn't be influenced, wouldn't have nothing to do with any of these organisations. So just remember that you're a lefty, you're voting for Israel to control your politics. And if you're a lefty in a Labour Party, you're voting for Islamists to run your party. That's what you're voting for. And it's not the British people, so you're not worth it. Just remember that, guys. And remember to vote for me, because I'm a real person. Don't hide behind anything. I've got a clear message, right? UK first. That's my clear message to everyone in the United Kingdom. UK first. There is nothing else, guys. There is nothing else. It's not Ukraine first. It's not UK, Israel first. No, it's UK first. I don't care about the minority. I don't care how many people feel offended because we're not sucking up to you in other countries. I don't really care. UK first. That's it for me. And
that's another aspect of the whole woke agenda. You put the minorities first. That picture of the Labour Party leadership, which you showed, John, was fascinating because every one of those people are members of Labour Friends of Israel, and they're being financed by them, and they're being controlled by them. And we also know on the left there are these pro-Palestinian forces, of course, who make Palestine their central issue. Rather, they seem to have no love for the British people, for the British work. Remember, the Labour Party was a party of the British working class. It seems to be ancient history, that now. But what we need to do is look ahead. What's actually going to happen in America after this assassination attempt is that Trump is now, as I say, he's risen to mythic status. He's indefeatable now. He's mobilized the whole American people behind him. I've been looking at the polls. He's now on course to win even New York State, even the most left-wing of American states. Biden is a dead duck. So we're going to get a new administration in the White House, and we're going to get peace in Ukraine from that. And this is going to isolate the globalists. They're going to feel, and you know, Trump is threatening to cleanse the American state of their influence. He said he's going to, all these organizations like FBI, CIA, WHO, Trump is going to go to war against them. That's why they see him as a threat, because he's going to take away their breadbasket. He's going to take away their millions of dollars. And now they can't find a way to stop him now. I fear that there might actually be another assassination attempt, and they won't this time depend on perhaps young fools. They might actually produce real assassins. So Trump's got to be on his guard, but it looks good from here on in from Trump. And the Democrats have been awful. But don't forget, the Labour Party is the British wing of the Democrats now in America. It's not a British Socialist Party anymore. It's controlled by the same people who control the Democrats in America. So they're going to be left high and stranded. They're going to be left abandoned. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Britain. Go on, Pat.
What about old David Lammy? Yeah, when Trump was elected before, he was saying if they invite Trump to the UK, he's going to chain himself to the door of 10 Downing Street in protest. Now David Lammy is the foreign secretary, and Trump, is this true? I don't know if this is true, Paul, but Trump has said he's not going to speak to him because he knows.
The truth is, they're going to have to change. They're going to have to get rid of Lammy. They're going to have to get rid of all these lunatics. But they're thick and fast in the Labour Party. I mean, if you look at the calibre of the Labour MPs, they're absolutely awful. There's no one there of any quality, any experience, any pedigree, any worthwhile opinions. It's going to be, I mean, we're just watching things unfold at the moment. We need to talk about what happened in the general election. We need a real discussion programme about that. But it's, as I say, everything that is woke turns to shit. So everything is turning to shit under these people. And therefore, It's an opportunity for patriots to fight back, to rally the people. And we're going to turn, there's going to be a turning point. There's going to be a turning point very soon where we begin to take power again, where we begin to put the world in order. Because if that doesn't happen, we're just going to go into real chaos. John. You're on mute, John.
Obviously, you know that the Welsh leader's gone now. So all that leaves is Sadiq Khan off that list that we had. We did a video about 2 months ago.
Well, don't be too hasty, John, because Keir Starmer might get ousted and Khan might become Prime Minister.
But yeah,
unlikely.
Wrong people in power, guys, box tickers. That thing that David Lammy did, and you know, I don't blame Trump for saying F off. I'm not talking to him ever again. I'm not blaming, you know, I wouldn't blame Trump for barring him from coming to the US, mate, the way he talked to him. And now Lammy's got to be sucking bum now. He's got to be kissing ass because we've got to talk. No matter what happens in this world, we have to talk to America. We have to talk to the president of America. Things have got to be done and stuff. And, you know, Lammy's just thrown himself in it, along with every other Labour member of Parliament. They were all at it when Trump got in. They were all at it. And now they'll all be like, what have I done? Well, you obviously, you know, I'd be ruthless, me. If that happened to me, I'd be barring David Lammy, and I'd be barring all. I'd go through social media, and anyone said anything negative, like Trump's a Nazi, shouldn't be president when he were president, I'd bar them all, me, and I'd be in my right mind too. And no one be able to, no one could question me. No one could question me. I'd bar them all, and I would for them talking about me like that at that time. But anyway, guys, this is the Nationalising Part. My name's John Lawrence, legendary panel, Pat McGinnis, and then we've got our very own preacher, Reverend Paul Rimmer in the bottom, and you know, we're talking about the big Donald Trump. The shockwaves of this is going to affect the world. It is. It's obvious to see. Everyone can see that. And this is one of the most momentous occasions since the assassination of JFK in America and in the world. I mean, JFK that went down as an historic moment. This is going to go down as a historic moment.
I remember, John. I remember when Ronald Reagan got shot. Now, what is amazing about Donald Trump is that when he got shot, he didn't go down quietly, did he? He rose up and punched the air with his fist. That was an instinctive response. And he said, fight, fight, fight. Ronald Reagan said, we've got to fight for our freedom. We've got to fight for our country. We've got to fight for our traditions and our values. What a response from Donald Trump. He could have been dead. You know, a weaker man would have buckled under that. Look at the crowd, the MAGA crowd. They didn't run in panic. They stayed there to support Trump. There was gunfire going on. They just ducked, but they stayed in place. Sadly, a decent man was killed in that assassination. We have to remember that. May he rest in peace and God bless him. But Donald Trump showed something there. He showed that he's got the heart of a lion. We know his mother was Scottish. They're calling him, you know, the new William Wallace, the Lionheart, the Braveheart. He's an incredible guy. And this is the people we need leading our nations, not the weak, pathetic people like this. What was his name? Vaughan Gething, who was only interested in lining his own pockets. We've seen the back of Leo Varadkar, who was filmed having sex in gay bars, a really degenerate character. We've seen the end of Humza Yousaf, who tried to scooter down an NHS hospital and ended on his backside, which was very laughable. He was a laughable character. We've seen the end of Rishi Sunak, who was the biggest joke ever to enter British politics. He wasn't even British, he was an Indian. He was a joke. And we've got Sadiq Khan left, but Sadiq Khan is not the head of a nation. He's only the head of a city, but we'd like to get rid of him. But London, Pat, you're there to save London. So we're handing it over to you, the baton, to get rid of Sadiq Khan.
Well, I'll tell you this much: if I get a good result in 2026, it is going to be headline news because it's Keir Starmer's backyard. You know what I mean, Camden. So all hands to the deck, people. Come and join us. Come and help us leaflet. Come and help us door knock. We need your help. Your country needs you. Jesus Christ needs you. Your family needs you. Let's go.
Amen.
That
was like Winston Churchill.
Thank you to the chat. Thank you for joining. I'll be live on Friday, late night veteran show. We've got Len Lawrence on, former pilot, airline pilot, and we've got young Alex Thompson on, who's doing his memorial tour. So we'll have them on Friday. Watch out next week. Oh, I think next week we're going to have Peter Lawrence on, our Cornwall candidate.
General election roundup.
We'll be talking a bit about the elections and stuff like that and the fallout of the elections. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Sorry, I've been busy past couple of weeks. As I said, I was flying last week, so I had to leave Pat on his own, and it's been pretty difficult. I did get back late, actually, Saturday. I was supposed to go on another stream, but I got back late. But I had a great time in Northern Ireland. We went to a wedding, of course, as well. And I've had a fantastic time. And talk about patriotism in Northern Ireland is unbelievable. It's unbelievable, guys. Honestly, you just couldn't make it up. And these are just on normal streets. This isn't like in the centre of London on a demo day. This is just like on the normal streets of Belfast, all round the corners, the little side streets where people live. This is what it's like. Flags out all year round, everywhere, and people love the union. But God bless everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
God bless.